Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Battlestations Pacific, likely for the last time, but today we're going to be taking a look at the U.S. Training grounds, both aviation and naval, and as before, we will go ahead and start with the aviation training. I really, when it comes to like what I think looks really cool historically, I tend to have a bias towards American things, but I mean, I'm American. What do you expect? But yeah, it just looks so cool. The Wildcats and the Hellcats and Corsairs and everything. And then, of course, all the ships, the battleships and whatnot. So here we are. It's very similar to the last one. As you can see, there's your tutorials. And as far as I can tell, it's actually the same area. It's just all of the enemy ships are in different places. So let's see here. We have the Hurricane, the P-40 Warhawk, F2A Buffalo, Wildcat, Hellcat, Corsair, Lightning, Ferry Swordfish. That's something we did not get to use in the campaign. I don't even know if we saw it in the campaign. I can't even remember. Tbd Devastator, Avenger, Dauntless, Helldiver, Flying Fortress, Mitchell, and back to the Hurricane. So let's see the Hurricane, because I'm pretty sure we also did not get to see it. And we'll go without bombs, just so we can see just the fighter plane itself as it was meant to be used. And yep, the basic plane controls and everything. So yes, the Hurricane. I can't remember the actual the numbers and letters that would come before the Hurricane. But pretty cool aircraft, I guess. We hit something on there that was somewhat explosive at least. But there it is. Look at that plane. Nice little air intake on the bottom there, and we're gonna crash. Well, that was the Hurricane. I was trying to make a hurricane when it crashed into the water, I guess. Anyways, that was a quick view of the Hurricane. The P-40 Warhawk, I think we used. Did we? Oh yeah, we did on that one mission. The second battle off of Savo Island or whatever. That mission, when we were attacking the transports and the enemy PT boats and stuff. So yeah, so we have seen this one at least. But yeah, I mean, obviously you wouldn't expect it to do very much against a destroyer, but yeah, let's see here. Oh yeah, there we go. The awesome nose art. So yes, the P-40 Warhawk, pretty cool plane. Not my favorite, but pretty cool nonetheless. There's a cool flyby shot. Looks like 6 50 cals in the wings there. I assume they're 50 cals. It'd be kind of surprising to me if they were 30s, but there's that. Let's go ahead and crash it so we can get another.
Sir, we've lost contact with our squadron.
Oh, come on. There we go. F2A Buffalo. I hate this plane. I only hate it because it's so terrible compared to the Wildcat. It's just why do they make you use this in Battlestations Midway for the actual Midway mission? It's really frustrating to use this thing when you know that they have better equipment. This thing was not even being used widely in World War II. The ones that we used were just leftovers from the interwar years. By the time World War II started, we already had Wildcats, and they were already replacing these as the primary carrier-based fighter. So, yeah, this is not my favorite plane in the world. Does still look kind of cool. It looks really short and stubby, but I mean it kind of is. So, but yeah, the F2A Buffalo. And there it is. So let's go get another plane.
I'm hit. I'm going in. I've lost control.
Yes, the Wildcat. This is one of my favorites. I say that, but I like all of these. Oh, and as last time, you will not be seeing any of the upgraded, or the upgradable unlocks that you can see in the campaign. Those don't show up here in the training ground, just like last time. So, kind of unfortunate, but oh well. The Wildcat just looks so cool. This paint scheme, too. Like, I remember the first time I loaded up the game and started playing around with this, and I was so amazed by the really cool paint scheme on this thing. With, like, the red and white stripes on the rudder, and the cool, like, tone of blue that they went with. Really cool. I love this paint scheme. So, yes, the Wildcat. One of my favorite planes ever. I just love this plane. It's so cool. The model is really good, too. Alrighty. Well, let's go pick another plane.
Control. I'm heading in. We've lost one of our squadrons, sir.
And up next is the infamous F6f Hellcat, which is also a very, very cool plane. So the Wildcat was basically the upgrade to the Buffalo, and the Hellcat is basically the upgrade to the Wildcat. And the Corsair was basically an upgrade to the Hellcat. Pretty much. But yes, the F6f Hellcat. I like the dark blue that they went with for the paint scheme in the game. Very cool, very cool. And I'm gonna crash it already. Okay, I'll do more than that. I won't just leave that there. Let's bring another one of those out. Because, yeah, we didn't get to really see it. I moved the rudder the wrong way. That was my bad there. But yeah, the Hellcat, really awesome plane. I think I had 19-to-1 kill ratio. So that's like basically for every one Hellcat that we lost, 19 Japanese planes were shot down, which is absolutely insane. These things were really, really, really good. Now, I'm not gonna lie, part of that kill ratio, you know, is the fact that by the time we got these, most of the good Japanese pilots were already killed off. So the pilots that we were fighting by the time we had these were much less experienced. So I'm sure that contributed, but there's no denying that this plane is like absolutely amazing, especially compared to the old Wildcats. Getting up close and personal with some of these dummy targets here. Oh, well, I didn't know that could happen. That's okay. I think we've seen enough of the Hellcat. Let's move on to whatever is next here. Ah, yes, the Corsair. With rockets, of course, because what Corsair would be complete without rockets? That gull wing design is so iconic and recognizable. I'm pretty sure we were still using Corsairs in the Korean War as well. I think that's when we started using jets and like a very, very insanely limited use of helicopters. Just in like support roles. But I'm pretty sure we were still using Corsairs in Korea. I'm doing it again. I'm going the wrong way. I'll bring this back out. Man, I gotta stop doing that. I did fine the first time. Like, the very first time I tried to do that, I don't remember which plane it was, but I did fine. I didn't even crash or anything, and now I just can't make it happen. I'm trying to just get some camera angles of it. It's not quite working. Anyways, let's try out these rockets on this destroyer. We've already seen what these can do in Mission 12, I think it was, but it's still fun. Yeah. Kinda, sorta demolished that thing. Though it doesn't even look like it is in that bad of shape. But we definitely hit it pretty hard. Alright, let's make one more pass on that destroyer. Maybe sink it. Maybe. And, I guess not. That's fine. Whee! There we go. So there's the Corsair. Very iconic plane. Especially for the rockets. I think it was very well known for me, the two things that it's most known for are the rockets and the gull wing design. Which was, I don't know if this probably wasn't the first plane to use it, but it was definitely more of an experimental concept. So yeah, the Corsair, pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and crash it after I launch off the rest of these rockets. Like so.
We've lost one of our squadrons, sir. We did it. She's sinking fast. Enemy ship in visual, sir.
And the P-38 Lightning. We just saw this one recently, but I don't think we saw it with bombs. So I'm curious to see where exactly the bombs are on this thing. Just under the wings, I assume, because it's not like there's a bomb bay. Yeah, just a couple under the wings there. So yeah, the P-38 Lightning. Very experimental aircraft. Did not see a lot of use. Had dual 20mm cannons in the nose, which is it's better in real life. I don't necessarily prefer it in the game, but yep, P-38 Lightning. Pretty awesome looking plane. Let's go after the carrier, shall we? Actually, let's go for the submarine there, because why not? And we'll even try to be creative here and drop the bombs from farther away. I guess. I don't know. But there's that. And we got one, it looks like. Right on the conning tower there. P-38 Lightning. Oh, wait. It has, like, a lot of machine guns in those. I think it has two 20mm and, like, either 350s or three 30s. I'm not sure, but it definitely has more than just two machine guns. You can see that for sure. On the nose of the aircraft. Here, let's see if I can bring that around again. Yeah. I don't know, does it? I mean, they all look the same size, but it seems insane that they would have 5 20mm machine guns in the nose. But maybe they did, I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments if you do know. Obviously, I can't, I'm not in a position to like look it up right this second. But, yeah. Pretty neat. So there's the P-38 Lightning. Pretty cool aircraft, and let's go see what else they have for us.
I've lost all control. I'm heading in. I've lost control.
Ah, yes, the Swordfish. This is the same type of aircraft that disabled the Bismarck, disabled its rudder, and allowed it to be sunk, basically. I would say, I would word it as this is the aircraft that, quote-unquote, doomed the Bismarck to her fate, or sealed the Bismarck's fate. Which is crazy to think about, because it is just a biplane. Like, there's not even any hidden tricks or anything. It is a biplane, and that is all. But pretty insane. As you can see, it is incredibly slow. If I don't boost, I just fly like straight. It is insanely slow. But this is actually the plane that disabled the Bismarck by hitting its rudder, which is pretty cool. I can attempt to demonstrate on this battleship here, assuming it doesn't move, which it might. It might start moving as soon as I let this go. Nope. Nope, I guess not. Oh yeah, it did. It started reversing. But yeah, there's the ferry Swordfish. Ah, there's a good shot of it. It is just a biplane. A carrier-based biplane, nonetheless. So, there it is. And you can see it still has the one single side-mounted machine gun there. So, let me see if I can actually get... Ah, there we go. Let me try to... There you go, you can kind of see it there. And of course, the big-ass torpedo underneath there. Like so. So, there's the Swordfish. Let's go see what is up next.
Mayday, mayday, we're going down.
Oh, the old Tbd Devastator. These things were awful. They look kinda cool, but it doesn't make them good. These things got a lot of American pilots killed because they were so incredibly slow. That, on top of them being insanely slow, American torpedo technology at the time sucked, so like 9 out of 10 torpedoes they would drop just wouldn't work. They would either break apart when they hit the water, or they would hit the target and not explode, they wouldn't drop, any number of things would always go wrong with these torpedoes that just made them absolutely pointless to use. I think it was Kwajalein Harbor or Kwajalein Atoll, something like that, that they found a bunch of transports just sitting in this harbor, not really able to go anywhere, with one little narrow like channel to actually leave. A couple of scout dive bombers, a pair of scout dive bombers, found all of these transports sitting in the harbor. So they disabled one transport that happened to be sitting in that very narrow part where they couldn't actually get out anymore, so it ended up blocking the harbor. And so they sent in the Devastators to sink the rest of the transports, you know, unopposed. No or very, very little anti-aircraft, and not a single one of the Devastator's torpedoes, under the best possible circumstances, against transports with practically no anti-aircraft fire, no pressure on the pilots whatsoever. And it was nothing the pilots did wrong, but none of the Devastator's torpedoes hit any of the targets. And that just goes to show you just how bad the torpedo technology was at the time. So, there is the Tbd Devastator. Where's the battleship? There we go. Let's watch it get hit by that torpedo. Yeah, there we go. So, the Tbd Devastator. Let's go ahead and switch planes. I bet the Avenger is up next, if I had to guess.
I'm hit. I'm going in. Sir, we've lost contact with our squadron.
Ah, yes, the Tbf Avenger. Very, very, very good torpedo bomber that came in later. I think it was first used at Midway, but launched like from Midway Island, and there were only like a handful of them. And I think that's why they ended up being called the Avengers. Something to do with the Battle of Midway, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, we started off by using the Tbd Devastator, and it was awful. Also, big deal on this plane here. The closed bomb bay is actually, or the internal bomb bay for the torpedo and everything is actually a huge deal on this aircraft. It has a ball turret on top and a ball turret underneath, which I will try to show. If I can, yeah, there you can see ball turret underneath in the tail. So it's very defensive. It's a lot faster than the Devastator, and it has an internal bomb bay to reduce drag, and the torpedo technology by this time was actually, like, you know, good, so they could actually use the torpedoes. So there is the Avenger. I believe it was Avengers also that were the first U.S. aircraft. Well, I wasn't ready for this yet, but they were the first U.S. aircraft to mount radar so that they could portray information back to their main ships, to the aircraft carriers and the rest of the fleet. So next up is the Sbd Dauntless, a very, very, very iconic dive bomber that I'm sure most people are familiar with, or at least have seen to some degree at some point. So yeah, the Sbd. It is there was nothing really wrong with the Sbd. They just, the Helldiver was like a little bit faster, could carry a heavier bomb. So the Sbd didn't really have any problems. It's just that they came up with a better design. And I say better kind of loosely because it was pretty well known that the Helldivers had a lot of issues, like a lot of issues. So let me find the aircraft carrier, wherever it is. There it is. And we'll try to actually sort of do what a real dive bomber would have done, which you can see them do in Battlestations Midway. They actually have a very accurate, true-to-life, like, diving kind of, what's the term? Not animation, but routine, I guess? I know that's not quite right, but the way that the dive bombers, the Sbds in Battlestations Midway would actually drop their bombs is actually very accurate to how they would do it in real life. So I'll try to replicate that here. but I might screw it up and do it wrong. So don't be surprised if this doesn't go according to plan. Here's a little top view of the SBD while we have the time here to get such a camera angle. Pretty cool plane, like I said, very iconic. Everyone's very familiar with the Sbd Dauntless. Even if they don't know the name of it, they've probably seen it before. So basically they would fly past the target and then just a little bit past it and then roll over, something like this, and come down on top of it. I didn't do a very good roll, but that's the basic concept. And I also dove a little more steeply than they would have. But that's the basic concept. And there's a neat little camera angle of the SBD. So yeah, there she be. Now let's go switch out to whatever's next. I believe it's probably the Helldiver, aka the big-tailed beast.
We've lost contact with our squadron.
Ah yes, the Sb2c Helldiver. As you can see, the SBD had a 1,000-pound bomb. This has a 1,600-pound bomb, which is absolutely massive by comparison. And so is the plane. The plane is also a lot bigger, as you can see. And like I said before, the nickname for this was the big-tailed beast. And as you can see, the back of this plane is absolutely huge proportionally to the rest of the plane. It's crazy how big it is. But the Helldiver, it had a lot of issues when it was first being used. It was really hard to control. The landing gear almost couldn't even support the weight of the plane most of the time, so they'd come in to land and the landing gear would just snap underneath the plane. It was a little unwieldy, but much like the Corsair, they did fix it eventually. It took a while to get right, but they did it eventually. So let's see what we can do to this little tiny destroyer here. I missed. How did I miss? The reticle was on the thing. Okay, let's try that again. I can't believe I missed right there. Let's do that again. And give me the bomb. That should hit. There we go. Look at how much damage that did just from one bomb. Now that was a magazine hit, but still, that's a lot of damage for one bomb. So the Helldiver, pretty cool aircraft. There's the bottom of the plane and some of the side and everything. So there it is. I think next up is we get into the big long-range bombers.
I'm going down. I've lost control.
Yes, the B-17 Flying Fortress, which is also a very iconic aircraft. We can have the 450-pound variant or the 200-pound variant. I'm going to go with the 200-pound variant because I'm curious to see exactly how many bombs that really is. Because I don't actually know. It's probably a lot. I would guess it's over 20 bombs that this thing is carrying. 30, yeah. That's a lot of bombs. Let's find the aircraft carrier and go after the aircraft carrier with a nice bombing run. I'm going to do it at low altitude just so we make sure more of these bombs actually hit. But yes, the B-17, super iconic aircraft. Everything from this to Call of Duty to movies to, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I think it was Big Red, Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1, where you actually got to fly, well not fly, you got to use the bombs and some of the turrets in a B-17 Flying Fortress, which was pretty cool stuff. So let's see what we can do to this aircraft carrier with our 20 bombs, or 30 bombs rather. They're small bombs, but there's 30 of them, and I'm at pretty low altitude here, so most of these are probably going to hit. That's a lot of bombs right there. I can tell you one thing, Those might only be like 200-pound bombs, but that flight deck is not going to be doing anything anytime soon. There would be so many holes and splinters in that deck, you would never be able to use that for anything. B-17, very, very cool aircraft. No guns for the pilot, but much like the Nell and the Betty from the Japanese side, we do have this capability here, where we can go into this little extra camera view here and use the AA guns that are around to defend the actual bomber itself, which is pretty cool. We seem to have... Oh, okay, the green dot is just the bombs there, okay. I was about to say, that's weird. Looks like we have, like, some kind of small cannon or something we could use, but no, that's just the bomb indicator, which seems weird because we're not using the bombs right now. But anyways, there's the B-17. Let's go ahead and swap out to what I believe is the last aircraft, which should be the B-25 Mitchell. So...
An enemy carrier has been destroyed. Sir, we have an enemy carrier in sight. Lost all control. I'm heading in.
The B-25 Mitchell, equipped with either bombs or torpedoes. I'm curious to see what this actually looks like with torpedoes. I've never seen that before. But the B-25 Mitchell, another iconic plane. This one was actually responsible for the Doolittle raid, launched from the deck of the USS Hornet. I forget how many bombers there were. I think it was 16 bombers that took off from Hornet. But yes, these participated in the Doolittle raid on the Japanese homeland, kind of as like a scare tactic, more than actually trying to damage infrastructure and everything. It was more of a scare tactic, but it was a very effective scare tactic, if nothing else. Now, generally, this is a level, like a medium to high altitude level bomber, much like the B-17. But of course, we have a torpedo, so we're going to be using this. We're going to be using this a little bit differently here. Let's see what we can do to that submarine right there. Given the potential weight capacity of this aircraft, I expect this to be an absolutely massive torpedo. And I don't know. I mean, it seems like it did okay damage there, I guess. It caused a lot of flooding, enough flooding to sink the submarine. We do have actual machine guns here as the pilot, which we did not on the B-17. I think we also have, yeah, we also have this level bomber mode. We do not have a ball turret underneath, so we only have the tail guns, side guns, and the one on the top there. We don't even have a nose gun other than, you know, the one that the pilot gets, of course, which are actually not really nose guns. They're kind of on the side there. Oh, I never noticed that. That's cool. They're like kind of sticking out of the side a little bit. Oh, that's really cool, actually. I never noticed that. But that is the B-17. We're stalling. Not B-17, B-25 Mitchell. We're stalling, and we got it back. There we go. So, I think that is all of the planes. We will... Oh, wait, no, there's float planes. Right, there's still float planes to look at. So we'll go ahead and take a look at those, and I think then we'll be switching over to the naval aspect of the American training grounds. So let's see, the Shipyard. Yes, we have the Kingfisher and the Catalina. No Seahawk in here, which is kind of a shame, because I really, really like the Seahawk. But yes, the Kingfisher... We'll just go ahead and go with depth charges, because this is probably what you'd see it equipped with most of the time. So here we go, the Kingfisher. Again, pretty cool looking plane. It kind of looks like a miniature Helldiver with floats. Sort of, in my opinion. Like, the way that the cockpit goes, like, from where the pilot's sitting all the way back to the tail is like the actual cockpit is that long. So in that sense, it reminds me of the Helldiver. But, yeah, OS2U Kingfisher. Seahawk, the SC1 Seahawk was basically the upgraded version of this. It was just faster, more sleek. I think it was probably lighter weight as well, so it wasn't quite as heavy of an aircraft. But unfortunately, we don't have that here in the game to test out. We have what appears to be one machine gun in the nose. Yep, that's it. So it's not a fighter plane, it's a scout aircraft, as you would expect. You can see I have a very large circle that's moving around as the plane is moving around with it. So, now we will go ahead and swap out to the PBY Catalina, and I think we'll go to the naval side of things. Catalina, we're going to use this guy with torpedoes. And wait for it. There it is. Again, this plane, much like the Mavis we were talking about in the Japanese side, this thing is so much bigger than you expect it to be. I mean, just look at how tiny the people are. It's absolutely insane how big this aircraft really is. And you'd never guess from just like looking at pictures or anything or movies or whatever. You'd never guess how big this plane really is. Very interesting engine layout as well. Being like not only on top of the fuselage or above the fuselage, but being like so close together leaves a lot of wing out on the side to just kind of sit there. So interesting layout of the engines there. And there go our torpedoes, slamming into the side of the CV, like so. So, yeah, PBY Catalina, and I think that'll do it for the aircraft. So let's go ahead and swap over to the U.S. Training Grounds ships, the naval training grounds.
Sir, we've lost contact with our squadron.
Okay, so welcome to the American Naval Training Grounds. And as you'll see pretty much immediately, we have much more than just American ships in here. We have this thing. I don't know what that is. DeRuyter? I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. I think it's DeRuyter, but I don't know. I'm assuming it's French. I have no idea. York-class cruiser is British, I believe. Renown class is definitely British. New York class is ours. King George V class is British. South Dakota class, Narwhal, Elko PT boat. So there's not a ton here, but I don't feel like I need to show off the PT boat. Well, I'll do it, but I won't spend a ton of time on it. We've seen the PT boat a ton in the campaign, and in Battlestations Midway as well. Especially in Battlestations Midway, you're stuck with this for like the first few missions. So we'll go ahead and launch some torpedoes here. The transport, it will probably start to move. But there's the Elko PT boat. Pretty cool stuff. Has a depth charge on the back there. And yeah, we've seen this a lot, so I won't spend a ton of time on it. But next up, what are we going to have? We're going to have the Clemson-Class Destroyer. We've also seen this quite a bit, so I don't feel the need to spend a ton of time on this either. But I want to at least get a broadside off. I mean, right? Even though it's a destroyer, broadsides are still fun. I think it's weird how they have different sized people. Like, the people at the guns look to be the correct size and scale and everything, but the people just standing on the deck are like just a little bit bigger. And I don't understand why that is. Makes it very confusing. But, yes, Clemson-Class Destroyer. Pretty neat little ship, I guess. Definitely the most tin of all tin cans. It's quite primitive design of destroyer in terms of World War II standards, anyways. So there's that. It has a couple of torpedoes, not much. But there's that. And then we have the Fletcher class. This is more like it. Ah, yes, the old Fletcher class. This thing was amazing in World War II. Very, very, very popular kind of ship in World War II for the American Navy. And I've actually just recently taken a trip to Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park or something. I think that's the name. There's a video of that up on my channel as well if you're interested. But one of the ships there is actually a Fletcher-Class Destroyer that has been modernized, of course. But it has all but one of its... they only took off one of the 5-inch guns, and I think they added another gun director or radar or something. Also, this... Wait, let me try to get the reticle. This 40mm gun right here that my reticle is over right now is actually a 3-inch gun in the updated version. So, yep, there's that. So, whoops, there's the Fletcher class. Almost said the Minikaze class, but that's the ship we're shooting at, not the ship we're controlling. So what else? We got the Deroiter class. I'm going to call it that, even though I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. I don't know what else to call it. Judging solely by the name, I would assume this is a French ship, but I don't know for sure. It appears to have lots and lots of guns, though. Well, kind of. That's a weird turret on the front. It's a turret, like, with one gun. I don't know why they didn't just have another 2-gun turret there. But whatever. It's there. Just have to deal with it, I guess. Has a lot of... You know, looking at those AA guns, those kind of look like... Those are either, Geez, what? They sound weird. Are those, Chicago pianos? I don't think so. They don't seem to have the right fire rate to be Chicago pianos. They might be, the pom-poms. British pom-poms. I don't know. I'm not sure. So there's that. We do not have torpedoes. My bad. We don't have torpedoes. Or secondary guns, looks like. So there's that. I've never seen this ship in anything other than this game. I've never even heard of this ship in anything other than this game. And you never ever see it in the campaign. Not that I know of, anyways. Maybe you see it in the Japanese mission, the Destruction of Force Z. Maybe it's in there, but I don't know. I've never seen that ever anywhere other than this game. The Cleveland class. This is one of the other ships they have at the Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park. Excuse me, slight hiccup there. Again, heavily modified to be a missile cruiser. The modified version only has one of its 6-inch turrets and one of its 5-inch turrets still remaining on board the ship.
Enemy vessel is heading for the bottom, sir.
And then it has, on the back, it has a Talos missile launcher, which is really cool to see.
Enemy vessel. Got him without one.
But the Cleveland class was a very, very popular cruiser for the U.S. in World War II. They absolutely love this thing. And this one can have a scout plane, as you can see. I can't remember if the Deroiter could have a scout plane or not. I forgot to check. But the scout plane we get is also Kingfisher, and not a Seahawk. Maybe the battleships will have a Seahawk? I don't know. We'll find out. So there's that. Yes, Cleveland. Very, very awesome ship. So let's go see what's up next.
I'm going down. Sir, we've lost contact with our squadron.
The York class. This is a British class of cruiser, though I'm not sure. I don't know much else about it other than that. Appears to have a 3 torpedo tube launcher there, and 6 guns in 3 2-gun turrets. So yes, torpedoes, AA, some artillery. It looks like we have, not necessarily secondary cannons, but it looks like we have some 5-inchers, or maybe 3-inch guns, but maybe 5-inch guns that contribute to the AA flak. It looks like there's 3 on each side. So that's pretty cool. York-class cruiser. It's probably in World of Warships, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah. I don't know. I haven't played World of Warships in a while. Basically, the main reason why is that the British battleships came out, and that was the only thing you'd see in the matchmaker. And there were times where I'd literally get in, and I wasn't even using them. I'm still trying to grind up the American battleship line because I really want to get to the Iowa and stuff. But I mean, I would literally get into matches where it was like 8 or 9 British battleships per team. Just absolutely ridiculous. The matchmaker was just screwed for a little while, more so than it already is, but especially with everybody and their mother trying to use the British battleships. So that was a big part of why I stopped playing. Also had less time to play video games in general. And it looks like we have the Northampton class up next. I don't know if this is in World of Warships. There's the USS Indianapolis is in World of Warships, I know that, but as far as like a normal, non-premium Northampton class you can use, I don't think there's one in there. But we've definitely seen the Northampton class in the campaign, as well as in Battlestations Midway. But there's that. What kind of AA guns? Oh, those are Chicago pianos. See, I know those ones up there are Chicago pianos. I know that for sure. Where is the AA flak? So yeah, it looks like we also have 3 5-inch guns on each side to contribute to the anti-aircraft firepower of this thing. What is this? Oh, it's a Kuma class, and it's actually shooting back at us. How dare they? Oh, we do not have torpedoes. We do have a scout plane. It's nah, we don't have a scout plane anymore. We do have this Kuma class shooting at us. But there's the Northampton. We'll go ahead and switch to another ship to deal with this Kuma here. I think we get into battleships next. So that Kuma's about to have a real bad day. Northampton, yes, the Renowned class battleship. This thing looks crazy. Again, other than like that Destruction of Force Z mission, I'm not sure you actually see this in the campaign anywhere. I know you don't get to use it in the campaign at any point. Appears to be, just judging by like the shape of the hull, the types of like the shapes of the turrets and everything, it appears to be a World War I era battleship, or the interwar period battleship. I suppose saying it might be a treaty battleship would also be correct. As far as visually, that's what it looks like. It has a very interesting little scout plane spot here. Non-rotating scout plane launcher there, as you can see. Really weird design. But lots and lots of little secondary guns all over the side, as you can see. All the little turrets there. I assume they're 5-inch guns, but I don't know that for sure. Doesn't look like it has an outstanding amount of anti-aircraft. Not bad. It looks like all the little 5-inch guns do contribute to the anti-aircraft, which is very helpful. I mean, it's not bad. Not bad at all. So, yeah, there's the Renowned class battleship, and I believe up next is the South Dakota class, which is one of my favorites, for sure. Where we got? Oh, New York class! I totally forgot about this guy. Again, you see this in the campaign, you don't get to use it, though, and I would assume that the only place you really see this is in the Pearl Harbor mission, when you're playing on the Japanese campaign. But look at all of the AA that has all down the side of it. It didn't always have all of that AA. That came in later. You can tell by the aft bridge here that this is also by the fact that this is not only the aft bridge, but that the aft bridge and the forward bridge are both the tripod mast. You can definitely tell this is the modernized New York class. And there's actually a museum New York class battleship in Texas, the USS Texas. And I would love to be able to go and see that. Though right now I don't know if you can see it because it's taking on water again. And it's listing in its port where it's being kept. So I'm not sure you can actually go and see it right now, but I would love to go and see this thing. It might be the only surviving. I think it's the last like surviving dreadnought, pretty much. Or Dreadnought era battleship, and also the only American ship that's still around that served in both World War I and World War II. So really, really awesome historical museum at the USS Texas there. I would love to go and see it sometime, but yeah, I don't know. They're trying to repair it. They've thought about. I'm sure they've thought about moving it to a dry dock, but you have to question how expensive that would be too. Or just building a dry dock where it sits right now, but again, you gotta think about price. So there's New York class. We do have a scout plane, I believe. Oh, no, we don't have a scout plane. Oh, we have places to launch scout planes, but we don't actually have scout planes. This Congo is going to kind of ruin everything, because if I sink it, it's going to kick me out of the training grounds, but if I don't sink it, it's going to keep blowing me up. So let's go ahead and rush through the other ships. I think there's just 2 more battleships to look at, and that's it. So let's see. Oh, and a submarine, yeah. So New York class to the King George V class, and then the South Dakota, and then the submarine, and then we're all good. So here is the King George V class. Pretty notable battleship, if only... I mean, if nothing else, then at least for the fact that the gun layout is really weird. 4-gun turret, and then a 2-gun turret super firing, and then on the back, another 4-gun turret. Just really crazy gun layout. The secondary turrets just look really funny, too. And I'm not sure what all these cylinder things are on the back. Maybe those are supposed to be AA gun emplacements, but they didn't put them in the game because it would have been, like, too much AA. It would have made it unfair, or whatever. But again, the only place you see this is probably the Destruction of Forces E mission, where you're actually, you know, for once you're actually fighting the British. So, pretty cool battleship nonetheless, and I'm going to end up kicking myself out of here before I actually get to show off the last 2 ships, so I better be careful about this. Make sure I don't sink that, make sure I don't sink that battleship just yet. South Dakota class! Here we are. I should have just never sunk that first Minikaze that showed up. South Dakota class we have seen excessively in the campaign. We've seen a ton of this thing all through the campaign. A very, very, very cool battleship. I've actually been to the USS Massachusetts, which is the South Dakota class, as well as the USS Alabama. I've not been to the USS Alabama, but it is also a museum South Dakota class battleship. So very, very cool. What I think is really interesting is that the South Dakota class, the Iowa class, and the North Carolina class are all pretty much the same, except for like the length and the types of engines that they had, and the shape of the hull. But as far as armament goes, they're all pretty much exactly the same. 9 16-inch guns, 25-inch guns, and almost all laid out in like the exact same way. The only thing that changes is the shape of the hull, the types of engines, and I believe the Iowa class got the higher caliber 16-inch guns, which could have just as easily been put in on the other ships. It's just that the Iowas got them because they were the newest. So there's that. I would sink this guy from point blank right now, but we still have the submarine to look at, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm not sure we ever actually got to see the Narwhal class in action, because I'm pretty sure every time we were given the option, I upgraded the submarine to the Gato class during the course of the campaign. So let's go ahead and dive pretty much immediately, because we're going to get destroyed otherwise, and we're not going to get a chance to actually like look at the ship. So we want to, be able to do that. But this darn battleship is going to ruin everything. So here's the Narwhal class. Like I said, I don't know if we actually got to... I don't know if I ever used this class in the campaign. I might not have. But it looks like we have 4 torpedoes forward, 2 torpedoes aft. Looks like we have 2 deck guns on here, as well as looks like 2 machine guns there for anti-aircraft capability. Again, I think it's really cool that like the rudder actually works and everything. On these submarine models. That's a really cool feature. No scout plane, unlike the Japanese submarines. But yeah, there's the Narwhal class. So I think that'll actually do it. Let's see if we can go ahead and sink this battleship, because he's being annoying.
Our supply base is under attack.
Let's go ahead and stay nice and slow, but we'll keep turning towards him. Like so. Wait for the torpedoes to reload. We'll sink this guy and be on our merry way. Speed up just a little bit. Like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This should absolutely be enough to sink this guy, in theory here. And if not, I can go ahead and turn around and use the stern torpedo launchers as well, which I don't think we've really seen very much in the campaign here. But they do exist. And they are useful. So if we turn around like this, we can go ahead and launch some torpedoes out of our butt at this battleship. Like so. There we go. We did it. Try that again. What? Oh, wait. Nice work. All enemies are destroyed. Yeah, we did it. And ta-da! So that's what happens when you finish a training ground. So, I think that will do it for this video on Battlestations Pacific. And this is probably the last video of Battlestations Pacific, at least for a little bit. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video on Battlestations Pacific in the U.S. training grounds. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, I hope to see you all in the next video.